Hello, friends. I am here today. This is Margaret Katz-Can, one of the two intrepid warriors, along with David Landuli, my friend and partner at Fundraising Leadership. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Margaret. We're here with another mini podcast for all of you.
Yeah, with another totally epic topic. Today, we're going to talk about failing, failure.
Failure.
Yeah.
You know, everyone talks a good game about failure, and everyone kind of knows. I do think this is kind of very hypothetical for a certain type of person, which we're going to talk about today. And it's very uh like they kind of uh think they know what it's all about, but we're gonna talk about what it's really like to fail and how some of you out there in the audience may not be actually failing.
Or you may, right, there's an invitation to maybe cultivate a different relationship with failure. But I want to start by giving kudos to David because this conversation started after David competed in the World Jiu-Jitsu Championships in Las Vegas. And
Mhm.
David, tell us the story.
Okay, I'll do it by a little chant.
Okay.
I'm number three. I'm number three. I'm number three.
In the
Yeah,
whole world,
in the whole world in my division. It's true.
right?
So, how many of you out there, especially uh, those of you who lead fundraising teams or you're an executive director of a of a nonprofit where you work with the board and would chant that your success on not achieving your goal.
Right. We should say David's goal was, in fact, to win, not to get number three. It was to win. And yet he's really celebrating. And so
So,
that seemed worth kind of double clicking on. Why? Why are you so dang happy?
well, it's a bit more the emotions around it were certainly a bit more complex um, on last Friday when I competed. Um, we're sitting here in December of 2023. Um, Certainly there was some disappointment, first of all, because set, I was aiming to win. You
Yeah.
know, I've been in a few jiu-jitsu competitions over the past few years, and I've stood on the podium in the number one spot a couple times, but not all that frequently, actually. Um, but I felt like I was very well prepared. I had trained hard. I was relatively injury free, which was another goal I had set for myself was going into the competition was, to not I've fought in competitions where I've been injured. It's not a pleasant experience. So I was feeling good going in. And I actually do feel better coming out the other end,
Mm. Yeah.
surprisingly. And this is the counterintuitive thing, right, that we want to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were talking about what makes it possible to feel satisfied
Mm,
even when you don't get your goal, which of course
right.
is also known as failing, right?
Right.
And we
True.
were talking about this saboteur of the hyperachiever, which is rampant with so many of the people that we work with, right, in the nonprofit space, so many leaders, and they love and cherish this saboteur because they totally believe that it is responsible in many cases for their success. What
And
makes
there
it a
is
saboteur,
some,
though? Yeah,
yeah,
it's right.
there
It's
is
not that
something,
simple.
right? It's not that simple, right? So, it's not that simple, right? Because the achieving aspect is healthy. We might call it healthy striving, would be another way psychologists talk about this. Healthy
Yeah,
striving. Um, it's the hyper achieving aspect, like having to be number one, or
yeah,
yeah, that can be sabotaging to yourself and to your team. Hmm.
Right. Yeah. And I think the place that the saboteur really comes in, and we're going to get to a more subtle distinction in a minute, but it's that it's very hard when we have a super active hyperachiever and we don't meet a goal, we don't love ourselves very much. Like there's a very
Right,
conditional thing that happens. We have a lot of trouble finding
right.
forgiveness for ourselves. So that's where this hyperachiever can really turn into a saboteur, where it's very unhealthy for us.
I like what you brought up, Margaret. And what I like about it is that the hyperachiever will uh, collude with the inner critic when you don't achieve what you aim for. And then the inner critic will come in and see, you can't do it. And
Right.
then what that leads to is the even more subtle behavior, which is not setting high goals for yourself.
Yeah, because why would I want to set a goal if I didn't think I could make it? If
Yeah,
I expect the chain of, of just explosion. Oh, I don't make it. I feel disappointment. My hyperachiever kicks in. I beat the crap out of myself and I end up
right,
feeling very unlovable at the end. So, this is what
right.
hyperachievers make sure to try to avoid at all costs,
Yeah, it's true.
setting
And
goals that they're not really likely to meet.
also we want to avoid, look, I have part of this too. You want to look good and avoid looking bad. This is another aspect of the judge.
Right.
We all want to look good and avoid looking bad. And when you lose, I can tell you firsthand, because I've lost on the world stage several times. When you lose in front of your friends, in front of your family, in front of the people you train with, you don't look very good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I today is like the Monday after. I got to go and face my teammates after having lost. This is not easy, by the way. Like, if you don't hit your goal in a fundraising campaign, you have to go face your board.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But you were writing this morning, David, about what might be the upside of setting a really audacious big goal, about busting out of the hyperachiever pattern and actually setting something that you may or may not achieve.
Well, that's where all the that's where all the goodies lie, isn't it? Right? This is where your growth lies. Like I look, I there's lots of people I train with and know who never go to tournaments and compete because they don't want to experience uh, the feelings. Uh, they're going to be there. Like
Yeah.
if you set, like I set for myself this very high mark. I had never competed in this particular style of jiu-jitsu before. I went to the world's largest and most competitive tournament in this style, which is without the gi. We call it no gi. It's more of grappling, and you're going to fight against the best. So I had set the bar super high. I only competed once this year, which is again, most mortals would not just register themselves into the most competitive jiu-jitsu tournament in the world after only having competed once over a period of 12 months, but I did it anyway. And I fought really well. I
Right.
did.
But it
I
wasn't a
mean,
sure thing, is what you're saying.
my God, yeah, there was no guarantee of success. In fact, the odds were stacked against me. And
Yeah.
most people would look at that situation as like, oh, why would I ever like register myself into something where I know that the odds are that I'm going to lose? Most people don't. But
Yeah.
we're not most people, are we, Margaret?
Nope. Nope. No, we are not. Yeah.
And we
There's,
work with leaders who are not most people, all of you out there in the audience, right?
right.
But we just
Yeah.
want to point out where you might be limiting yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something that you mentioned, David, that I wanted to kind of go back and double click on, and it's this emotion of disappointment.
Mhm.
It's I'm learning both in my own personal growth journey and with other people that I work with. We talk a lot about grief being hard to feel, right? And there's a list of emotions that are pretty uncomfortable to sit with and to weather. And sometimes people will go to great lengths to avoid those emotions. But I haven't heard a lot of talk, although I'm ready for myself to put disappointment on the list of, it is in my top probably 3 to 5 feelings that are so hard for me to
Mhm.
sit with disappointment. Like it is big and heavy and sticky. And so I think it's just
Yeah.
another angle to this.
Yeah. I like that, Margaret. It is, look, um, we're human beings. We have all these complicated emotions. Disappointment is one of them. Um, if you never if you never go for something, then you can protect yourself from being disappointed,
Yeah. I
you know.
think, I'm not sure we're doing a lot of talking about this in our culture, and our kids between David and me are older at this point, but as parents, what wouldn't we do to avoid our kids feeling disappointed often, right? We're at
Oh
least
God.
very motivated by trying to shield others from disappointment. But I'm not sure too many of us look at the ways that we sell ourselves short or pick achievable goals in part because the idea of being disappointed is like, whew, no, thank you.
Right.
No, thank you.
Well, you're bringing up something that you brought up something that uh, catalyzed a thought around our um, educational industrial complex. So it turns out, just as you were saying this, that system rewards and actually I think bakes in hyperachieving. When I look at my own children, when I look at my own experience, right? So there's this gotta achieve, gotta achieve, gotta achieve, gotta make my A, gotta make my A, gotta make my A, right? And when that doesn't happen, depends on the kind of parent you are, but I can assure you that the educational industrial complex penalizes you for that and does not celebrate you for that.
Yeah, right. Our whole childhoods between parenting and schools and all of those things, we don't do a great job learning how to weather disappointment and failure and learning from it
Now,
or finding gifts in it.
there's another trite phrase that gets thrown around, but I called, you know, my kids actually taught this to me, and I thought it was super helpful when they were young. They learned this thing: do your best and forget the rest.
Mm,
You know,
gotta love the rhymes. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm thankful that that was actually my kids teaching me this, and I do think they live it. Um, I can see where they've had failures, and that, yes, they have experience. As any parent, I'll speak for myself as a parent. I like to protect my children from feeling, these afflictive or negative emotions. And then also, there's a part of me that realizes that, boy, it's best that they learn these lessons early in life and learn
Yeah.
how to. And both of them have been through the positive intelligence program. So we should talk a little bit about that. And at least one of your sons has been through it with one of my
Awesome.
daughters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
So
think,
we should talk.
yes, thinking about that hyperachiever as a saboteur with a character and some characteristics helps us notice it. And again, we're not talking about throwing away the desire to achieve or wanting goals or setting big goals for ourselves. We're talking about when things swerve into this territory
All right.
of the hyperachiever, which is trickier and less
It's
healthy.
tricky. It's tricky because, Shirzad, who is the creator of this coaching methodology that we work with clients on, called positive intelligence, will say about the hyperachiever that um, they'll play small just to avoid all those icky feelings of disappointment and everything that we've talked about. Wanting to look good, avoid looking bad, having to face your friends, your family. I mean, this is so people will play small in life and
Yeah.
never, really achieve victory. There's some kind of sage power here, Margaret, that I maybe we can co-create it in this moment. Like there's something about being satisfied with your performance. Like there's
Yeah.
a satisfaction or contentment that I don't think he really talks about in the program, you
No,
know.
I feel like contentment, your capacity for contentment is a giant sage power.
It
I mean,
is.
right down to like actually tasting what you're eating and enjoying, right? Like that
Yep.
power to savor and just be with what is and where you have found yourself, where you find yourself at the end of the day.
Contentment, right. See, that's also you might think like, oh, if I'm ever content in life, I'll never achieve anything. No,
Right.
that is a lie. That
Yeah.
is a lie.
Yeah. And I think there are many, many people who, if they're being really honest, are not setting big goals, are not playing big because the risk of failure feels crippling to them. And that's the hyperachiever. That's that
I have
saboteur.
never read in the Chronicle of Philanthropy or any other uh, online forum of any nonprofit ever not achieving its fundraising goal. This is
Right.
actually impossible. This is actually
Where it
just
set
not
a goal
reality.
so audacious, so big, so high that right, like that we want
Right.
to applaud them for their big thinking, not what actually happened in terms of the dollars.
Yeah. I just don't see it. So,
Yeah.
in some senses, maybe what we're saying here, Margaret, is that you guys are not really setting high enough goals because you have not failed.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you're not celebrating your failure. If
Of
you're
course, because
failing,
you're,
you're doing it quietly and secretly in the dark of shame rather than
yeah, I don't see
other
any
people learn
like
from it.
I don't in AFP's publication. I never see any articles about how the uh, uh, the board and the leadership and the fundraising team celebrates their failure to hit their campaign goal. I never see it.
Yes. Well, yeah. But David's going to wear his medal of of success slash not quite success of what you were looking for, of contentment, your medal of contentment.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that I um there's always learnings too. We talk about harvesting the learnings in failure. And, when you look in your rearview mirror of what happened, uh, and I looked in my rearview mirror uh, to my second fight where I lost to the reigning world champion, and I was like, oh, I could have done something differently. And maybe I will the next time. Not there was no guarantee that that would have caused me to win, but I looked at the fight and boy, you want to do something hard, go take a look at the fights you lose, or go. If you had a replay of the campaign that you did where you failed to reach your objective and play back all your mistakes, it's a test of character to be able to do that. And I do that because then I look and I see it and I'm like, oh, this is something I could change. And this is an area of growth for me. There's a part of my game that needs attention. Yeah.
But this
So
is not instead of contentment. It's how do these things, how is this possible to coexist with being content?
well, I think it comes back to being content with having done your best or my best. Like now, if I was here on the podcast and saying to you, I didn't do my best, then I might, this is where it gets really tricky with the inner critic. Okay. Like without beating now, in this case, I did feel like I did my best. At least that day with those opponents, I did my best. I gave my effort, the full effort. And maybe that's something to talk about. Like, did you give it your full effort in whatever it is? And I can tell you, I did. There's no doubt. Like, I didn't for a moment uh back down, like in that final fight. Like, this is like this guy is the strongest guy I've ever fought. Like, he grabbed me. And I was like, oh my God. Now, I could have folded in that moment and said, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But no, I was like, okay, I'm in a fight. I'm going to do my best here, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's a metaphor for, I'm not saying for you guys to go out and train jujitsu. This is a metaphor for your work and your other areas of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just to be open to what's possible if you set a really high goal and you don't achieve it. Like it's a rich space. I think that's the takeaway for today. It can be a rich
Can be.
space.
Can be. You need a, by the way, we work with leaders on this. We work with boards. Like if you're going to have a board that's going to shame and blame you for failure to achieve your campaign goal, then yeah, you know, you're a smart person. We know that you're going to set a goal that you can, because you know, but if we can get the board on board, so to speak,
Yes.
with this kind of thing, then you might go farther than you think you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Anything
Good
else to
food
add to
for
that,
thought.
Margaret?
No, I think that's a great place to leave it.
All right.
We'd love to.
If you're
No, I'm
bit,
going to say we would love to work with you if you are interested in PQ, and we
yeah,
would love to hear from you and help coach you through this powerful
yeah,
program.
we'd love to even bring your whole team. We Margaret and I have coached groups, so have Janice and Michelle, and you know, you can go very, very far with this methodology. So whether you want one-on-one coaching or whether you want to bring your team through this, we'd love to help you. We'll put a link in the show notes so you can learn more about positive intelligence. All right, so reach out to us, and until we hear from you, we'll talk to you next time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.